An incredible report by Jerry Mazza, and I've been aware of this for several years, but now more research has been done on it. I want to get Jerry Mazza on next week with Online Journal. Following Zakheim and Pentagon trillions to Israel and 9/11. Now, I have not, jumped on the bandwagon to say that Israel carried out 9/11. I know Israel stages terror attacks. That's been in Haaretz and the Jerusalem Post. 4 years ago, Israel got caught, quote, creating fake al-Qaeda groups and staging bombings. They've also caught some of the so-called right-wing settlers staging bombings to blame it on the Arabs and the Palestinians. And then there are some real suicide bombers and suicide shooters, suicide stabbers, who are just so upset about the way they live and losing family members that they do carry out attacks. But the really high-intensity ones are generally carried out by Mossad or Shin Bet or a client group that they've hired out. And there were the reports of the dancing Israelis, and I even have interviewed the sheriff there in Bergen County in New Jersey, who witnessed them from across the water. Some of his deputies did, dancing around celebrating, so he arrested them, and it turned out they were clearly Israeli intelligence assets, and the White House pulled strings and got them all released. But that doesn't mean Israel carried out the attack. I mean, let's be clear. Israel is a terrorist state. Israel is involved in staging terror attacks. Israel is an organ of the New World Order. But so are many of the Arab states. See, people can't get this. It's not one group's good, one group's bad. It's that almost all governments on earth have wickedness in high places, and these evil people, these evil global gangsters, work together. But we do know that Mr. Zakheim at the Pentagon is a very creepy individual and was over the operations that resulted in trillions coming up missing. And we know he is a known double agent of Israel. We know he's an Israeli citizen. And the research that Jerry Mazza has done, I have ferreted it out and found it to be, unfortunately, extremely accurate. And this does move me a lot closer to believing that Israel may not just have been in a support role in 9/11, but may have been intimately involved. And then you've got the Larry Silverstein tie-in and several other really scary points. And we know the neocons, most of them are double agents. At least the neocons at the Pentagon are double agents, known citizens, dual citizens of Israel. Our Homeland Security Director, Chertoff, his father was one of the founders of Mossad. And he has family members writing hit pieces on myself and others with the folks that wrote the book on yellow journalism going back to the sinking of the Maine, Hearst Publishing. So you start connecting these dots, it doesn't look good. Obviously, Israel couldn't make NORAD stand down. Israel couldn't, call the public officials and tell them not to fly. And Israel couldn't mass 44,000 U.S. troops surrounding Afghanistan in the months before 9/11. Our government were the main orchestrators of this, but who in our government was? And clearly, Israel's got their fingers in the pie, so does British intelligence. And so we just go where the evidence takes us. So we'll be getting into this report by Jerry Mazza in this hour. Following Zakheim and Pentagon trillions to Israel and 9/11. Think of this as part 2 of a previous article I wrote, my Online Journal article on Zakheim, former Bush appointee as Pentagon comptroller from May 4th, 2001 to March 10th, 2004. At the time, he was unable to explain the disappearance of $1 trillion. It's a lot more than $1 trillion. Actually, nearly 3 years earlier, Donald Rumsfeld announced on September 10, 2001, that the audit discovered $2.3 trillion was also missing from the Pentagon books. This story, as I mentioned, was buried under 911 rubble. The two sums disappeared on Zakheim's watch. And it goes on. Yet on May 6, 2004, Zakheim took a lucrative position at Booz Allen Hamilton, one of the most prestigious strategy consulting firms in the world, One of its clients then was the Blessed Relief, a charity said to be a front for Osama bin Laden. Well, of course it's going to be a CIA funding arm. Booz Allen and Hamilton then also worked closely with DARPA, the Defense Agency Research Projects, which is the research arm of the Department of Defense, so the dark card was shifted to another part of the deck. And we will go over this article a little bit later in the hour. It's long, it's exhaustive, and it's just sick.